I'm Sora Luxon, and this is Hermetic Principle number 5, the principle of rhythm. Everything flows in and out. All things rise and fall. The measure of the pendulum swing to the right corresponds to the measure of the swing to the left. There is a cycle, a tide to all things. You can enjoy the fruits of the highest highs, but you will never overcome the destruction of the lowest lows. You can only neutralize them to a degree. No matter how tall the crest of the wave we ride, eventually a low tide is going to follow. There is no crest without a low tide. What goes up must come down. There is a creation and an erosion to everything, a season to all things, a summer and a winter. And now I can hear the birds band turn, 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 humming in my head, right? A time to reap and a time to sow. Understanding this law allows us to enjoy the rises fully while neutralizing as much as we may be able to the burden of the fall or the burden of falling seasons of life and things. The principle of rhythm is what is between the opposing poles of the principle of polarity, and one of the places it manifests is in our own mental states. Rhythm appears in sound, life cycles, breathing, planetary orbits, the processes of all types of movements. Rhythm is the pattern of compensation in all things. Just to give a sense of the importance of this principle, this is the thing an artful master whispers to the student of the initiate arts in a specific hidden moment. Because just like the other fundamental principles, this Hermetic law grants its holder endless power. Endless powerful possibilities when it's understood and employed correctly, right? That's what magic gives us. Longer lifespans, situational and scenario event control, outcome engenderment, boundless joy, infinite possibility, broader horizons and opportunities, new perspectives, constant and consistent self-worth, integral validity, meaningfulness to what we choose to do. See? The keys to magic from self-mastery are very useful if you know how to use them. So how do you use this one? Well, in simplest terms, you decide by will to polarize yourself to your chosen degree, and then by use of the principle of rhythm to your advantage, by understanding the way in which rhythm is going to manifest itself, because it always does manifest, and in comprehending how it's going to, you hold your position within the chosen degree to keep yourself from swinging back to the other extreme, that other side of the pendulum, right? The opposing degree. And that sounds super strange and somewhat confusing. So here's maybe a better explanation of how to apply the principle of rhythm. It's about being able to take and make smooth transitions. That's it. It's about being able to make smooth transitions between things. That sounds much simpler. For instance, let's say you're married and you lose your wedding ring and it's super important to you. So this loss is big. It's having a big effect on you emotionally, physically. You're stressed, possibly grieving this loss. Maybe there's anger because of its monetary worth to you, which is now lost as well. And then there's anger or grief from the emotional internal worth, the sentimental value it had to you. Now that's been removed beyond your control, right? And you've got different chemicals going through your body because of the anxiety, right? And you're probably going to say things like, that costs so much, how will I ever replace it, right? Or, who would steal an engraved wedding ring? That's so awful. How could a human do this? Or, how could I lose such an important personal item? How could I be so careless and thoughtless? I can already sense the pain my partner is going to feel when they notice. How could I do that to them? Okay. So all of that is the pendulum swing. It's the swing that pawns ride. It's the tides of rhythm. And they're riding it unknowingly. Because, see, there's a rhythm here if you know how to see it. We gain things and we lose things. And then we gain things. See the pattern? If you really can see the pattern, then you can also comprehend that the things you lose will return. They will, in that form or another. And things that you have will disappear again at a later time. Things you lose will return. Things you have will leave. That's just rhythm. That's the law, the great principle. So if you know that, now you're going to be less angry and stressed or sad, in this example, about this supposed loss, this ring, right? Of course you are. Of course you're going to be less angry about it. Things come and things go. In recognizing heightened mental, emotional, or physical states, that heightened extreme state you were in, for being the extreme and exaggerated end of one swing of one side of a pendulum, you can see how that pendulum must then swing back to the other extreme side of the swing. For all that anxiety and worry that it's gone or lost, the relief and joy when you find it again, right? You're only as angry and sad and wounded as you are about losing that ring because you were so happy and thrilled about it when you had it, right? Or when you gained it. If it were some plastic ring from a Cracker Jack box that had no significant meaning to you, would you care as much about its loss? Of course you wouldn't. You swung up the emotional pendulum by attributing value to this item. And I'm not saying that's wrong, only that that is what happened. And now you'll swing down the pendulum at the loss of that value to the compensating degree. But here's what the master knows. You can choose where to be on the swing by recognizing that the swing is there in the first place. And even better, here's where stuff gets really impressive and useful. You can also choose to make the transition smoothly. You can choose it by knowing that what comes will go, in this example, and will come again. By choosing your own mental or emotional state, by choosing the degree you want to be positioned at in this scenario on the swing of the pendulum, and then by being at that degree, by being master of this hermetic art in this situation, you can actually choose to smoothly transition, foregoing all of the harmful grief, stress, anxiety, and anger that you don't need, that isn't serving you, is possibly harming you, and might just be distracting you from the fact that while you're angry and worried and in this agitated state, that the ring only just fell off your finger and is at your feet. And you can't see that. So how can you begin practicing this, right? Because it sounds so simple, but it's something that's so difficult to begin actually practicing with. Excuse me. Well, with rhythm, start to see it. And be aware of it, first off. It's everywhere all the time. So, of course, you can see it in instances all around you, even now as you listen to me talk, right? There's rhythm in speech, for instance. The rise and fall of cadence and syllable. The swing up and down, inflection on words. There's rhythm in your pulse. As you're listening to my rhythm talking, your heart is beating out its own rhythm. There's rhythm to your breath, to the movement of the air currents you're drawing that breath from. If you're outside, there's a rhythm to the cars of the traffic passing by if you're near a street, to the swaying of the leaves if you're under trees. You get it. Rhythm everywhere, and you can see it, right? Endless examples. But now, start looking for it where you don't think about it being. Look at anything and everything and now find rhythm in that. In your patterns of behavior, perhaps. In your relationships with others, maybe. Are you sitting at a desk? Where's rhythm in that desk? There's rhythm there. Find it. In the object. Well, it wasn't always a desk, right? It was cut, constructed, installed. It's degrading as you use it. The rhythm of its material bonds are changing, moving. It's a material, and like all material, its path leads to its own rhythmic destruction. It will erode. It will turn to dust in its own way before becoming something else and building back up rhythmically again. Everything returns in its changed form, right? Practicing the acknowledgement of rhythm like this is going to begin honing your perspective of it in new and different ways so that you can be better at working with it all the time when you need to be able to work with it. And now that you have this nice, sharp tool at your disposal, right? You can see it everywhere and everything. That's the tool. How can you now grab hold of it and begin using this tool, this principle? Well, think of being somewhere that makes you really happy and excited. Something that gets you passionately worked up, physically, mentally, emotionally, like a concert. Maybe you really love a specific band and you're one of those people who loves attending live concerts. You're really into music, right? The music's blaring. This is your thing. You're dancing. Your friends are there. This is a special event for you. Your own personal favorite celebrity rock star hero is throwing guitar picks in the crowd now, right? And they're pointing at you while they're singing. There you are, super worked up, super excited, the highest high you could possibly experience. Now look for it and find the pendulum. You see it? It's there because there's going to be a letdown. There's going to be a deflation. Now, I'm not saying that you should be sad or depressed after a concert ends or that you shouldn't enjoy or go to concerts. What I am saying is there is going to be a tidal swing back down from all that excitement in your mind and body. Your emotions will change when that music stops, when the lights turn down, right? I mean, bands use this in order to control the masses before they release them from massive events, right? There's a slow song before everyone goes home. They calm you down. They have to. Night's over. The crush of warm, vital bodies around you is gone, exhausted, depleted. Now, it's okay to enjoy things. Like I said, I'm not telling you not to. I'm not saying that you're going to be depressed. You liked going to the concert. You're glad you went. You might have regretted not going. I'm not claiming any of that. If you like concerts, you're going to have something you wanted internally fulfilled by having attended that one. But there will be a cooling off. That's also true. And you can take control of that cooling off, of that transition, if you want to. When a band plays a slow song at the end of a concert to calm everyone down, that is what they're doing. They're taking control of that cooling off and controlling you with it and forcing it onto you. By the practice of self-enforcing, though, just briefly, during the height of such an excitable activity, such an inflamed, impassioned activity, if you can take a moment of calm in the storm, 30 seconds or so, while all of this is going on around you, while you're in the crush, while you're at that super high emotional state, if you can take those 30 seconds and be calm and still during that experience, you will not believe if I tell you how many skills and tools this practice is going to give you if you apply this technique. The things it's going to reveal to you if you do it. The altered frequencies that become usable, the authority and sovereignty that this seemingly small and simple practice will hand you if you practice it. Train yourself in this practice, which is an applied practice of the Hermetic principle of rhythm, and you will be well on your way towards advanced high Hermetic rhythmic magics. There are always going to be times of intensity in life, right? It's inescapable. It's the law. In all sorts of different ways. Like physical illness, right? That's one type of uncomfortable intensity. And it can be moderated. A master of the Hermetic principle of rhythm creates level, smooth grace periods between these times, rather than being caught in the pendulum's extremist swings. We advance, we retreat, we go forward, we go back. We train ourselves to know when to do one and when to do the other. The Hermeticist knows that this is one of the keys to true mastery, a key which alleviates, sometimes days, of unnecessary recovery from things that other people don't ever seem to recover from. A master can, to variable degrees, rise above the swing of the pendulum and enter another state of awareness, where rather than being swung by the pendulum, they use it to propel themselves forward and then rally by riding it back on purpose, when and how we want to, because we've learned to act instead of react. Until next time.